Hello and welcome to Savvy Frugal Vegan. I am joined today with Jeremy Lalonde. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I discovered you from YouTube, like other people, I'm imagining. You started your plant based journey because you were losing weight. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have a long farewell tour from being an omnivore to being fully plant-based, which is about 12 years if I do the math correctly. My wife has been vegetarian from the time she was very young. Within a couple of years of us meeting, I went pescatarian. From there on, just slowly started like weeding everything out until finally plant-based.
This is something that I always tell people. Sometimes it's a journey to get to 100% plant based. Sometimes people do it like, I'm a part time vegan. They'll be like, I eat plant based until 5 o'clock and then my diet changes. We all get to it in a different way. I know that you lost a lot of weight. Did the doctor tell you something like, hey, you need plant based? Or how did
No,
you make that transition?
that was definitely the final tipping point for me was the weight loss because by that point I was probably pescatarian, still having eggs and dairy and fish. I had always been a larger person, and I don't think there's a large person out there that doesn't secretly wish there was some magic way for them to lose weight. I always wanted to get in shape, and especially as we had kids and they were getting bigger and I was just having a hard time keeping up with them. At this point, I'm like in my mid to late 30s, and I'm lucky. I haven't had any health scares yet. I have a dad that's a larger guy as well, and he has had some health scares. And so I'm just looking at him and going, I don't want that to be my future. I'm lucky right now. I'm able-bodied. I can be physically active if I get my shit together and I decide to do it. I just started looking and doing some more research. I was looking at other people that had massive weight loss success stories. And because I'm in the film and television industry, two of the people that sprung to mind were Kevin Smith at the time and Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller had both lost over 100 pounds going vegan. And Penn Jillette in particular did the starch solution
The
method.
potato diet.
Potato diet, where he ate potatoes for 10 days just to cleanse himself and to reset his system of all saturated fats and salts and all those kind of things. I didn't necessarily do that, but I just started reading more and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And at the time, I was in a really fortunate position with work where I had a couple months between starting a new project where I had some downtime and I didn't have to worry about work. I decided I'm going to spend the next 3 months, I'm going to work out every single day, 30 to 60 minutes a day, and I'm going to go plant-based.
What workout were you doing? Were you running?
Oh God, no. Running is for people that are not me. I secretly, I think in my brain, I'm like, oh, running looks really beautiful, but it's not with me. It's sweaty and it's gross and out of breath. And I also think when I tried to run as a kid, I always got out of breath. So I just imagine that's going to happen. I'll forget how to breathe and hyperventilate. It's going to be gross. It's funny that when I play sports and I do stuff, I realize, oh, I do have stamina now. But there's something still in my brain that goes, you are not a runner. The workouts I did, I'm such a nerd. I'm like, what did other people do? And then I'm going to biohack it into my own thing.
Yeah.
So I created kind of a version of a HIIT workout, which was like a combination of jumping jacks and push-ups and sit-ups and squats and a couple other things in there that was basically like a 10-minute routine. Most days I would do that and then I would do like an elliptical machine for 10 minutes. And then I would go back to that in 10 minutes. And I would do 3 sets of those with an elliptical or just walking up and down stairs as my rest period in between. And that was my main workout I did. And if I was really exhausted one day, I would just go for a long walk.
So you didn't have to go to a gym. You didn't need a gym membership or anything like that. You were doing that in the house.
I ended up doing it at a gym, which is silly because really all I was using for the most part was their elliptical machine at
Oh,
the
okay.
beginning, and I could have just done that at home. But I started doing a little bit of weight training. I wish I would have done more of that though early on because as I was losing all the weight, I was also losing all the muscle, which now I'm at the point of regaining that. A lot of my workouts now are resistance based and trying to regain muscles. I started losing, and I told myself, let's just do it for 3 months. And at the end of those 3 months, we haven't seen much change. Then this is just the cards you've been dealt.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
of course, within the first month, I dropped, I think, 8 pounds. And then the next month, I dropped 9 to 10. And it just kept on going that way to the point where by the end of it, I lost over half of my body weight. I was 360 pounds at my heaviest. And at my lightest, which was way too light, I went too far with it. I was down to 167 pounds. So I lost more than I gained at that point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that was also unhealthy. Like I went to the point where I was like really overly focused on things like calorie counting, and it just just became like a weird game. I think weight loss can become in an unhealthy way where just mentally you're like, losing weight feels good. I want to keep feeling good. And also, I think I was just terrified of trying to figure out how to maintain, because that's where
Right.
most people slip up. The biggest threat to success isn't failure, it's boredom. Once we
Yeah.
stop doing something, it just gets really hard to stay into good habits. That's why most people end up gaining weight back. I was just stalling. I just kept on losing. And then, of course, once I got out of that pattern, I started gaining weight back, which was terrifying to me because in my brain, I'm like, well, I'm going to gain it all back. I didn't. Now I fluctuate between like 200 and 210, which I think is the right weight for me. I can maintain it pretty effortlessly just by eating intuitively and doing 20 to 30-minute daily workout Monday to Friday and then just walking a lot on the weekends. So I think,
Wow.
yeah, so I've gotten to a point where it's like nice and stable and it's something that feels like I can effortlessly maintain for the rest of my life.
Wow. You go on this diet, you lose all this weight. You mentioned that you worked in television. Was that sort of the catapult for you starting the YouTube channel, which I discovered that it used to be called something else?
The fat
Former
forker.
fat
Forker
forker.
was the first. Yeah, it wasn't.
Former fat fork. Former fat forker. That's hard to
Yeah,
say. Former fat forker.
it had a much more aggressive tone to it too that
Okay.
I realized. I'm like, that wasn't what I wanted to put out into the world. I ended up rebranding the whole thing when I got this opportunity because of my background in film and television. It's like a small cable access thing in Canada called Bell 5 where they do small regional programming, and I knew the guy that ran it and he asked me if I'd ever be interested in doing a show for them. I thought, well, I'll do a plant-based cooking show, so I named it PB with J, plant-based with Jeremy. The nice thing about working with them was they just had a small window with which they had an exclusivity on that content. So I was able to repurpose it within 30 days afterwards. So I was like, oh, I can put this stuff up on YouTube. I just decided to rebrand the entire thing under PB with J because I thought it was a more family friendly, but also open title for it. And it all started, the former Fat Forker stuff, all of it started with the website and everything, because when you go through a significant change, especially weight loss, there's no shortage of people that ask you, hey, what was your secret? What was the magical thing you did? And then you're like, I went vegan. They're like, oh shit. Never, I'm sorry. And, most of them go, oh, okay, I don't want to do that, which is too bad because, the health benefits. For me, it was just like I found myself having the same conversations over and over again with people. And it's not that I didn't like talking about it, but I thought I can put these emails I'm sending people. I'm a filmmaker. I can turn these into videos. I can turn it into other stuff. It kind of grew organically from that.
Yeah, because your stuff looks really good. And I do want to ask you a few different things from watching your channel. You have kids, and a lot of people think, oh, I can't afford to feed my family a plant-based diet because that's too expensive. People always think it's too expensive. Processed food is the stuff that can be very expensive. But if you're looking at the produce aisle or you're making things yourself, it doesn't have to be expensive, even if you are eating organic. What are some of the ways that you can feed your family that doesn't break the bank?
I think one of the biggest things we do is we just don't waste food. We make a menu for the week. Everyone gets to have input on it. And if the kids say, I don't know, then they don't get a vote. And when the meal comes out, they don't get a complaint. And we have some staples that we all like, but essentially we make a meal plan for the week. So we only buy the stuff we need for those meals and then additional stuff for breakfasts and snacks and whatnot, so additional fruit, and then just whatever staples we're low on in the house. And we try to keep the meal at the end of the week, Friday or Saturday or whatever it is, as an open kitchen meal. And the idea is that whatever we got left, we're making something with that. That usually ends up being a stir fry or a bowl of some kind, a soup maybe. And that allows us to just be creative and just use up what we got. That's a good way to just not waste money, because so many people, that's what they do. They buy a bunch of vegetables because they want to get healthy and then they don't know what to do with them, or they don't eat them and they go bad and they're like, what a waste of money. Don't buy what you don't need. And I know people hear meal plan and they're like, oh, I don't want to eat the same meal 5 days a week. We don't do that. We're not that kind of people that make 8 of the same things and we're just getting bored with it. That's our version of meal planning. And within it, there's a lot of creativity and freedom. And we don't necessarily plan out which days we're going to have which meals unless we know we've got like a busy evening and we need a 20-minute meal for that night. That's great. We can do pasta there. All right, we got a little more time this night. Great. Maybe we do like a lasagna or something, whatever it is. So it just gives us that flexibility, but also just a little bit of planning can go a long way in saving you some money. And then just be smart. Go, if you've got like a farmer's market nearby. If you live in a city, you probably have a farmer's market. Even if you live in a rural area, you'd probably have a farmer's market. And there's a lot of great new companies that are just starting up. We just got this delivery. It's in Toronto.
Like a
It's
local
called
farm type thing where they bring like a variety of things that are in season or
Yeah,
something?
this one's not. It's some guy that used to work at one of the bigger grocery chain, and he's like, the system's broken, and he's trying to find a way to fix it. So they just sent us produce. They just came to our door and asked us if they can give us free produce one day. It wasn't a huge delivery, but it was enough
Yeah.
to try out the service. But there's lots of other like apps and stuff that are in a lot of cities. Too Good to Go and Flash Foods. Flash Foods is in particular great, and I know they're across North America. And what Flash Foods is, it's a app that grocery stores can connect to, and basically they can create boxes of their produce that's starting to turn. And here's the cool thing. I know a lot of people, because we've talked about this a lot on our channel, is that I don't have it in my area. Here's the thing. It's not that you don't have it, it's that your grocery stores haven't added themselves. Any grocery store can add themselves by contacting the app. That's all it is. So it's on the
Oh.
grocery stores to do it. Now, I know a lot of grocery stores do have programs where they give the food to shelters
Hmm.
or other groups and that kind of stuff, and that's great. But if they have a little bit of extra, that's amazing. 2 weeks ago, my wife came home with this $5 box, $5 Canadian, that had probably 50 pieces of fruit and vegetables in
Oh
it.
my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like some of them are a little too spoiled and whatnot. And then some of them are just a little bit enough, but enough that I can put them in like a broth bag and then we can make
Hmm.
vegetable broth out of it and stuff like that. It can be a lot of work to make your own stuff and you just have to do what you can. Like I said, a little planning goes a long way.
I was someone that never cooked. And when I transferred into a plant based diet, suddenly I started learning more about cooking because you eat a huge variety. People think, oh, you're a plant based diet, you'll eat like twigs and berries or something. Like there's nothing to eat. But there's a huge array of fruits and vegetables. So, what was something that you discovered that you didn't even know existed before you went into this?
I eat way more of a variety of foods now that I'm plant-based than I ever did when I was an omnivore. And I think that's true of most people. Obviously, the normal things like tofu and tempeh and those kind of things, a lot more grains. It's interesting. I just asked this question on our members community. What's an ingredient that you didn't really use before and that kind of blew your mind? So, stuff for me, nutritional yeast. Not only is it a great flavor replacement, but it's also just a great source of protein. Pound for pound, nutritional yeast has more protein than most plant-based sources. Not that you're going to put a pound of it on, that's too much. I think like 1 tablespoon gets you 2 grams of protein or something like that. I'm probably getting the math wrong. You can look it up. We describe ourselves as whole food plant-based, so we try not to use oils either, and that was
Hmm.
another one of my weight loss things. So using stuff like aquafaba, which is
Hmm.
like the leftover juice from cooking chickpeas, as an oil replacement in cooking and baking was a big thing. And then just really experimenting with flavors and getting to know what spices go with what. Going, oh, I want to take the spices of this cuisine and the vegetables of this cuisine. What happens if I mash them up? Oh, that was awful. I won't do that again. Or it was great. Just really
Yeah.
giving ourselves permission to experiment and fail in the kitchen was such a thing. Because I used to be that person who would open up a cookbook, and if we didn't have like every single thing, well, we shouldn't make it because I won't know if it's actually a good meal unless I'm making it perfectly. Thankfully, my wife beat that out of me because it's hard to do that. And it's really easy just to make excuses to not do the thing.
What I love to do is take things that remind me of my childhood, like something that's, oh, this was like a comfort meal, and then completely veganize it and then make it healthy. Like, I'm not going to use oil, so I'm going to use flax meal instead. All these little tricks that you start to learn to make it healthier. I'm one of those people, like, I look at a recipe and then I put it aside because I'm like, I'm not putting that much sugar in something, or I'm going to put
Yeah.
in apples instead or something. You can make things way more healthier than it calls for. Okay, well,
Yeah.
what is one of your favorite plant-based cookbooks? Or maybe
So
it's not a plant-based cookbook and you've just altered it. I don't know.
that's an excellent question. You know what? We do a lot of cookbook reviews on our channel. It's one of our kind of a staple videos. We reviewed a lot of vegan plant-based cookbooks in the last couple of years. And I will say my favorite book from this year so far is Carly Bedrug's Scrappy Cooking.
I just got that.
I was lucky enough to get like an advanced copy of it because I became friends with Carly, and I told her, I was like, I got it. I read it on the Saturday morning. I just sat on the couch in awe, and I was like, this is a masterpiece. Like, I don't know how anyone makes the cookbook after this because it's just the way she's laid it out. It's also just full of so many great staples of just like spice mixes and sauces, but also it's just really inclusive in the sense of she's not one of those people that expects you to follow her recipe perfectly. It's full of, if you don't have this, use this. And she's got a lot of guides and chapters inside that book that help people that are starting out or that are kind of a little nervous in the kitchen and not super familiar with cooking, particularly cooking without animal products. I think it's like the gold standard for cookbooks now, but also just like a really great entry point for people that are starting to eat this way. So that's the one like I wholeheartedly recommend. Not just because I'm pals with Carly, it's because I literally think it's a brilliant book that we're slowly working on a book ourselves. And I look at that as like, that's my gold standard.
Wow. And also, it's got gorgeous pictures. If anyone is thinking about eating plant based and they see those pictures, not only are they beautifully photographed, everything looks extremely yummy.
The ingredients are things that you can find at almost every grocery store. She doesn't use fancy ingredients that are hard to find, like super specialized. The point of entry for her book is so low.
I appreciate you saying that because I was having one of my It's a Plant-Based parties and we were talking about how we don't want to throw away anything from cooking. And sometimes, like, it'd be nice to use it for other things like a broth. Okay, but I'm excited to learn different possibilities of what you can do with your scraps as well. Okay, I saw in one of your videos you said, if you don't like pickles, I can't be your friend.
Yeah, we can't be friends. We have that t-shirt on our merch store, actually. You can buy a t-shirt that says that. I get more comments about that t-shirt when I wear it in real life than anything. People love
funny.
that shirt.
Okay, so I'm not a pickle person.
Oh, well, I gotta go.
I know. But I noticed in one of your videos you mentioned putting cinnamon in your pancakes. I am 100% on board with that because I always do that.
We can still be friends. I just put cinnamon in pretty much any baking. There's good heart health benefits to cinnamon, and also it tastes good. So why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, I love cinnamon. But there are things that are considered pickled that I like. But
that's fine.
Like pickled ginger. Your own pickle type stuff?
We have a little bit in the past. I'll pickle red onions every now and then. I've got a friend that really likes to pickle, my buddy Marvin, but so I can't call myself a pickler the way he is. It's one of those things I'd like to do more of, but I just haven't done it really.
It's
Outside of a couple of experiments. It's all time consuming, but it's the kind of the nice thing about pickling, if you do it properly, is it can last a long time too.
Yeah, and I mean there's health benefits. I'm not a kimchi person. That's considered pickles, right?
It's fermented. Yeah.
Okay, so what is one of your favorite kitchen gadgets?
Ooh, it's probably the boring answer is probably just all the staple things. Like, do I have one that's not the typical answer? Because the typical answers are like your Vitamixes and your food processors. We just got a creamy.
What is that?
The Ninja Creamy. It's like a way to make hard ice cream for plant-based. It's made by the Ninja Company. So we just got one of those because there was a deal on it and I got it for my wife for Mother's Day. And it was one of those gifts that was not just for her. But she was okay with it.
Do you have to put something in the freezer?
Yeah. What's really great about it is you got to control the ingredients that go into it. On our YouTube channel, we just did a video review of Kathy Hester's new Ninja Creamy cookbook, where we reviewed a bunch of her like ice cream she's made. And we've had her on the channel in the past. And her book is great because it really breaks down like the science of it. These are the components you need. So this much liquid, this much thickener. And you could either use something like rice or oatmeal or okara, which okara is the pulp that's left over if you make tofu.
No way. Okay, you just blew my mind. I didn't know anything about that. Okay.
So you can use, there's a lot of different things you can use, and she gives you a list of all the different things you can use. And so my brain goes, oh, great, I can make a million different variations of ice cream by just like going a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like yesterday, I made a mango ginger ice cream.
Ooh.
You blend it all up, put it in the freezer for 24 hours. So you got to put a little prep and thought in advance to it. And then you just run it through the machine a couple times until it gets the consistency that you like.
Where does one get this okara? Is that what
okara is something that I don't know if you can buy it. My wife occasionally makes her own tofu.
Oh, okay.
Which is not as complicated as it sounds. It's not even that time consuming. It just takes about a solid hour. You got to hang out by the kitchen and kind of stir a pot a little bit. You cook soybeans, and when you strain them out, you're keeping like the milk, the liquid that's in there, and that's what you coagulate. You add like a little thing to it and coagulate it, but the pulp, you don't use that. So the pulp is something, we were using it on our garden as like fertilizer because it actually helps like with the nutrients in the plants. A lot of people will use it as a substitute in baking, like a filler, because it's got fat in it, but it's really, really good as a thickener and like stuff like smoothies, and as well as this ice cream. And it also gives it a nice oomph of protein.
That's amazing. Okay, we have a couple of tofu factories here in town, and I'm gonna go see if they got some of that just hanging around and see if they'll sell it.
It'd be great to know what they do with the leftover okara, because it's one of those things that it's a byproduct. It'd be sad if they just chucked it.
I'm gonna put my Nancy Drew hat on and find that one out.
Yo, Nancy Drew, you're talking about Ota Tofu, located in Portland, Oregon. Vegan, the oldest tofu factory in America. According to a video on the official Ota Tofu website, the okara can be used for human consumption, but it is not sold to the public. Instead, it is used for a non-vegan purpose.
This is okada, and it's a byproduct of soy milk, like the shells of the beans and stuff like that. People use this in recipes. It's very high in fiber and has some protein in it. We actually give most of it actually to cow feed and livestock.
That really sucks, Ota Tofu. Pretty please, take a stance against animal cruelty and stop supporting animal-based agriculture. You're a tofu factory, for goodness sakes. Please sell your okara. There are plenty of vegans who will purchase it.
You made a transition from your first iteration of your channel and then you moved over. I know you're a TV guy. Do you have sponsorships? I mean, it looks like it's a high quality product you're putting out there. I mean, is that just you in the kitchen with your kids or working with the team?
No, it's us. It's just
Wow.
the version of it that was the PB with Jay, which you'll see we shot at our place in the country. It's an old farmhouse that's been in my wife's family for a long time. That's like the more of the traditional cooking show type thing. If you've seen those episodes on the show, those are the ones we actually had a bit of a budget for those. So we had a camera crew and whatnot. But all the more recent stuff we've been doing over the last year or so is literally just me with this phone and some $20 tripods that I bought on Amazon that just allow me to get an overhead shot of food. One of the things I said when I wanted to do this more on a regular basis was that I'm not going to be able to do it if I have to set up lights every time or if I have to strap microphones to us and just make our kitchen look perfect. I want to just be able to grab this thing and just start shooting, edit on my laptop, and that's going to make it sustainable for me. I want it to feel like anyone could have made this. My wife was horrified at first. She's, our kitchen, you can't shoot in our kitchen. It's not clean. There's stuff all over the counters. I was like, that's the point.
Yeah.
You know, I want anyone watching this to go, oh, this actually looks like my kitchen. It doesn't look like what I call the stereotypical YouTube kitchen, which is white and very brightly lit. And there's like a bowl of bananas over here. And it doesn't look like someone actually cooks and lives in that kitchen.
Yeah.
A lot of people have really responded to that too, because like we were saying earlier on, people go, well, I can't do that. I don't have the time. No, anyone can do it. It's accessible to anyone. All you have to do is have the desire to do it.
You have a membership where people can join. How do they do that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We call it PB with J 2.0, and you can get to it. It's in the description of all of our YouTube videos. It's on our website as well, and it's over on the Mighty Network. It's a kind of like a souped up version of a message board. And there's perks to it. Obviously, people get advanced viewings of our videos. We do a monthly members only live stream. But the main thing that we do on there is it's the message board. It's people posting questions, either from me or other members of the group, sharing information, stories. It's a real great support group for people, because I know there's a lot of people in our communities, they're alone. They don't have family that are willing to do this with them. They don't know anybody. They live in a small rural area and they're the only plant-based or vegan person there, or they're just curious. They're not fully ready to like dive in head first, but they want to know more about it and they want to be surrounded by people that have been through that. Our slogan is, we don't yuck anyone's yum. We meet you where you are. It's like, if you're not fully vegan or plant-based, it's okay. We have all gone, like I said, I had my own 12-year farewell party. Wherever you are at your journey, welcome.
That's great.
No one's going to judge you. They're not allowed to. I won't allow it. I've been in those communities on Facebook where someone says they had this, or they post a picture of a product and 30, 40 people jump on them and yell at them about, that's not this and that's not, and blah, 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 blah. And you're not really vegan or you're not plant-based. It's like they're trying. Reward the effort. They're also a human being and they're doing the best they can. We talked about before we started rolling, one of the problems with our communities is there are a lot of more militant types out there that make it less attractive for other people. It seems like the point of entry is steep, but it's not. It's only as steep as you allow it to be, and there's lots of room for failure. I know I have. I'm not perfect.
Everybody's body is different. We all have different access to different kinds of foods. We may have pressure from our families. There's so many different factors that could go into it. We don't know. We've not walked in their shoes, so we can't
100%.
judge it. We can't judge other people. We're only here to help. We're on the same page. I love that. Awesome. Tell people where they can find you. You mentioned t-shirts, so you got a shop. Tell us about that. How do they keep in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way to find everything is just go to pbwithj.ca, and that's our website. And that will, up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see all the social links that will take you to our YouTube, our Instagram. It's also full of great recipes on there that are all kind of comfort food based. And you can access our members community through there. And also, if you're just on YouTube, just type in PB with J or Plant Based with Jeremy. It should pop up.
Awesome. They can come see your channel, get some really great, delicious food ideas. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.